Good morning, YouTube. Ha, 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 ha. Okay, vampire crap. So I like movies like that. Aguila 22 caliber sniper subsonic 60 grain bullet head on there. You see how big that bullet head is? It ain't kidding. 950 feet per second, but can't hit the broadside of a barn on any day of the week. Never mind Sunday. Anyhow, so let's take a look. So we have a really big bullet head here. Okay, so ta-da! How much more is actually sitting in that casing? I have no idea. I've never pulled one apart yet. Anyway, but it doesn't shoot out of anybody's guns. Like, nothing can shoot this ammo without it going in sideways or reverse. It's kind of cool. It's like, and you know, it's funny. The CCI clean, it's horrible too. And nobody can seem to get that stuff to shoot right either. And that stuff's been out for years, and CCI still makes it. So obviously, not enough of y'all complained to CCI to get them to stop producing it, or at least get the engineer fired for making such a crap, lousy diametered ammunition that's not even 22 caliber. And it would seem that Aguila decided to do the same. So we get to do another comparison video again today and tell you why this is crap. And at least this time, Kevy doesn't have to waste time on the range shooting it to get the exact same damn results. Although I'm going to shoot the stuff anyways because, well, you know, you never let crappy bullets go to waste after all, you know. But at least, I mean, I was given these bullets, among others. But these are $17 a box in Canada at the time my buddy bought them. And I guess he must have got probably 2 boxes, and he used 2 bullets out of this, and I shot one into a birch log at his place just to, I want you to see what the trigger's like, dude, before I give you the gun. And I'm like, okay, at that? Yeah, okay. Oh, I love that gun. Yes, that is going to be sniper power. 25 and a quarter inch barrel. That is freaking long for a freaking 22. Russians know how to make guns, though. That's the thing. Anyways, that's a whole other video. But to settle the argumentative weenies out there, because some guy got on my clean video and he's like, that's not a micrometer, that's a caliper. And it's like, what's that got to do with the video? I'm just trying to show you guys something that no other YouTuber, even guys who are firearms experts shooting this crappy ammo, will not tell you why it doesn't group. Okay? I'm going to show you. And I shot the CCI clean. I haven't shot these at target, but I can actually verify the same findings. Okay? So let's start with our standard stuff here and get on the shoulder where we belong, because that's what's going to be on the rifling to spin that sucker. And we're going to get that on there, and we can see. No play, no play, good. All right, let's pull that out. Perfect. Whether you use a micrometer or whether you use calipers, you will get the exact same precise measurement. The difference, in my opinion, between the two, other than one's really freaking expensive, they're used for much longer, much bigger projects, where these are used for more smaller stuff. Okay, other than the fact that they can go quite wide for inside and outside, they just don't cover the depth. So a micrometer is a C-shaped device, and they come anywhere from this big to Mondo. And you got to get it over top to get it dead center so that you can make sure your diameter is correct. Those are different usage, but they do the exact same precise thing. And in this size category, and well, bigger for this, for the depth-wise, they're going to do the same job. And they will give you the exact same precise measurement. So let's not dwell on that, and let's comment according to content, okay? Anyways, I gave the guy a little bit of a spiel. I didn't actually delete his comment or anything. I thought I'd be nice to him because he wasn't being a total jerk with me. So we got that measurement done. Let's pull out one of these suckers. I thought we had one out already. Apparently not. Whatever. So this is our round in what we're going to test. So let me see if I can get you the best picture. Now this has 2 shoulders, so I got to watch where I put it, but that is really bad. And that went right in without a problem. Like, this is like skating, man. It's like, this just, look at that. That's horrible, man. I mean, that's bad. You know, we go back to our other bullet here. Let's get this back in place. And we're back to Snuggy Buggy, okay? So that's the difference here. Like, as far as close as it gets in the world to being 22, this is proper, okay? But this is like our CCI clean. That ain't no 22 caliber. It can't be, not with that kind of friggin' flopping around crazy crap. It's not correct. So, I would say, in my professional opinion, because I am an air and pellet gun expert, which gives me the expertise in pellets too, considering I've shot like dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of brand styles and weights of pellets out there, and we got some pretty freaky stuff, let me tell you, okay? I'm not saying I'm an expert on this, but diameter is a diameter, and if it's not the correct diameter, if it's too small, it's going to go okay, instead of wow, and hopefully it hits. Now, just because a bullet is the correct diameter, okay, or the correctnessable of amount of diameter, doesn't mean it's going to hit either. Okay, there are other factors that screw with that. All right, so this is why when we are having outstanding experiences with some ammos, but other ammos that we can test ourselves. I mean, how much of a cheapskate are you? These things cost like 20 bucks brand new. Go buy a set and measure up your bullets, and then you'll figure out why your bullets that are giving you problems are giving you problems, maybe. But the thing is, they could be the exact correct diameter required under the caliber in which is in question. Because this isn't just about 22. This is about every caliber out there, okay? So, because you can have the correct size and still have a projectile that's crap. And that could be because it's too light and too fast, or too heavy and too slow, or it could still be heavy but still way too fast for that weight. You know, I mean, there has to be a balance here. It's kind of like nature. There has to be a balance, because if nature was off balance, we would have died even before the first ice age ever happened. We wouldn't even exist on this planet, because if there was no balance in our ecosystem of the planet, right? So we'd all be non-existent. So but we have that balance, and we have that life, okay, that gift of life, and so we're all here, and for whatever amount of time that we're here for. And so we need to use that time to do whatever. And in my case, with what I'm into now with getting into firearms, which I will never have like mass collections, okay, regardless of the fact I don't have the money anyway, but even if I did, I wouldn't. I'm a practicalist, okay, but I'm also really picky. I need to know things, and this is something that honestly, from a lot of these channels, even if they're not experts, they do have a lot of guns, they show off a lot of guns, and you know, some of these guys are really great shots, and others, well, probably not so great, but hey, it's a video, it's my channel, I'll get better in time, because we all do, right? And down the road, maybe in 20 years, that, you know, 17, 18-year-old that, you know, has like 50 guns already, he'll become a better shot. He'll get more knowledge of firearms as he goes, right? Just like all the rest of us do. We start from the bottom, we work our way up in everything. I have a leading advantage because I have nearly 50 years shooting friggin' air guns and pellet guns and BB guns and modding the hell out of these things for everybody. So I understand a lot about ballistics, speeds, weights, all this other jazz. But I also really understand too that diameter is a proper thing. And don't think we don't run into diameter issues, you know, good and bad in the pellet gun world. I've had ammunition that literally, unless I ran it through a pellet sizer, it was not going to fire out of that gun properly. The skirt's just too big, and then it starts causing other problems, and too stiff of a skirt means I can't jam it in right, and it might not even fire out of the gun, or if it does, it'll go 2 inches, now I got to figure out how the hell I get that damn pellet out. So that's kind of an ammo that's really not made right, but it can be cut to size using a pellet sizer.
okay, and then it can be to the perfect actual size of an actual 22, okay, for what it needs to be. Because I prefer shooting 22 cal. I shot a lot of 177, really don't care for them, especially for pest control. 17 caliber is useless, at least in the airgun world. So anyway, but this will clear up why the Aguila Subsonic 22s like to go sideways or backwards and just not even group, because they have the same problem as the CCI cleans, and that's that they're not even the correct 22 caliber diameter. They will not go down the rifling, go whee, and hit. Now, I think there's still another problem on top of that. If it was the right diameter throughout the shoulders where it needs to be for such a long bullet, okay, it might actually fire properly and shoot properly, even though the weight, I think, is a little excessive for the speed that it's pushing it to. However, possibility does exist that 950 could work with a 60 grain. Now, in the air gun world, if you have an air rifle that's 950 feet per second rating, it ain't going to shoot a 60 grain bullet at 950. Okay, it'll shoot an 18 at around 900, 9.25 kind of thing. Okay, pretty steady, right? Because that's just the way it happens to go. But when you're talking speed to mass, I still think that, you know, if you're going to run a bullet with a charge plant of 950 feet per second, well, it should be done in such a way that the grain weight and the bullet size would be proper to hit 950 feet per second. I guess, in other words, what I'm saying is the bullet heads on the CCI standard are very much smaller in comparison, and these are 40 grain running at 1070, and they run actually quite good and stable in a very vast majority of firearms, regardless of the makes. Okay, and that's pretty cool. But is the speed adequate for the grain weight? Well, in this case, it seems to be. However, where it loses out is it's a heavy bullet for the speed, and that's why it's only going to be good for about 50 yards, and then after that it starts to fall apart because it doesn't have enough anymore. Okay, like this is only 101 foot-pounds of energy. Okay, so, and when you have the Stingers, which are about a 32 grain, if I remember correctly, they run at 1640, so it's about 8 grain lighter, but it's running at a very much higher speed rate, and it's producing over 191 foot-pounds of energy in comparison, which means the Stinger should go for much longer range, in theory, because it is a little bit lighter bullet, okay, and it's going at a much faster speed. It's creating more energy too, which is the way it should be for almost 600 feet per second quicker. With that bullet should easily group well, even up to 75 yards, though I've not tried the Stingers yet, but I do have some that I can try and see. But first I want to shoot them at short range and see how they do. But I know the Stingers too are a slightly, just a hair bigger than the standards for the diameters, because I've already tested those. All right, they're pretty hard to get in there. And it's like, okay, and yet the Stingers do seem to work well in some guns and suck ass in others. Why though? Well, that gets down to the shooter, gets down to their setup, gets down to their friggin' crown on their gun, gets down to the rifling, the way it's cut, and, you know, everything, right? There's so many variables, but I mean, minus out all the variables, you can have the worst shot on the planet or the best shot on the planet. These are no better than the cleans. They're not the right diameter bullet for 22 bore, okay? They're too small, and that means they're gonna fly like shit, which the other ones do too. Take it for what you will. I don't even have to sit here and shoot anything. There's enough video coverage already of how crappy these are too. I just want to continue to do my venture in showing you what nobody else does, and that's using a pair of these to show you why the major cause is. Okay, now if I come across two bullets of the right diameters, okay, and one shoots crappy and one doesn't, then we got to figure out that one, because that won't be a diameter issue then. That'll be another issue. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. See ya.